To make an animation, open a stop motion app like iMotion and then check the settings. For time lapse, it will take pictures for you and you decide the intervals it takes them at, or start with manual till you know what you're doing. Press start and then just check the settings on the display. A grid is helpful, as is the ghost image. Then you need to set up your iPad camera so that it can stay as still as possible with the thing that you want to animate, obviously underneath the camera. Use the grid to help you keep everything in the same place, and then that ghost image will also help you to make sure that your iPad doesn't move too much. Take 5 images and then move your items around to animate them. Then take another 5 images and then keep repeating that process, moving the items a little bit at a time so that their movement when the animation is put together is as smooth as possible. The smaller the movements in between your shots, the smoother the animation will be, and the more still that you manage to keep the camera, the more smooth your animation will be. So the more times you do this, the more shots you take, the better your final animation will be. And that's why we're doing 5 shots and not just 1. So we want there to be enough frames that it's a bit smoother rather than just taking 1 frame at a time. You can also change up how you do your animation, so you can change, once you've done a few rounds of one version, one shot, you can also change the perspective, the point of view, maybe do a close-up, and you can also do drawings. And if you use the time lapse, you could even if you set up your iPad camera so that you don't have to hold it, you could be drawing and writing at the same time, doing the animation, and then you'd have your hands in the animation if you like how that looks. So here I'm using labels to label what's going on, to point things out in my animation. Once you're happy that you've got everything you want in your animation, press stop and then press stop again on the screen, and then it will show you a preview of what your animation looks like. And you can slow that down on the frame rates per second, or you can speed it up depending on how your animation's looking. So you can get an idea of how your animation is turning out. If you need to, you can remove frames, so you can delete individual frames, or you can press the camera button and add some more frames to your animation. So if there's a bit that you want to say, maybe you want to improve it, add more, you realise that you hadn't quite finished, it ends too soon, you can go back and add or take away. Then once you're happy with it, press export, send it to your photo library, and then it will appear in your recents, in your camera roll, with all the rest of your photos and videos. Then open iMovie, tap the plus and create a new movie, a new project, and then find your video, so mine's right there at the top of the screen, and then tap create movie once you've selected the video or videos that you want. Pinch out to expand the timeline of your video, and then you're going to use that to enable you to split the clip up so that you can add titles to the beginning of the video. So let's say this was an animation about particles. I'm going to add that as the title. Then I'm going to choose where else I want to split the clip up, because it might be that I want to add a different label to each section to show that I understand what's going on, to explain to the person watching it what's happening. The other thing I might want to do is slow it down a bit, so I can change the speed. I can freeze this so that when I play it, it doesn't start my animation straight away. And then as I go through, I can add some more titles. So for instance, I might explain what's going on here. So I'm just going to put a silly title in just to show you what I mean. And if you needed to change the speed of your animation, you could do that using the speed settings. Again, splitting the clip as and when you need to. And then at the end, you might like it to fade out to give it a more professional look. One more thing that will make your piece of work really good is if you can add a voiceover. So for this, you tap the little microphone button, then tap to record, it will count you in, and you can always retake if it goes wrong. If you can record yourself explaining what your animation is about over the top, that's brilliant. Once you finish, tap done, give your movie a name, and then export it by pressing the share button.